Have you ever dreamed of launching your own satellite? Maybe a tiny CubeSat to take pictures of your house from orbit? Well, before you start building your rocket in the backyard, there's a crucial piece of legislation you need to know about, especially if you're in the United Kingdom. It's called the Outer Space Act 1986. It might sound like something from a sci-fi movie, but it is a very real and very important law that governs what British citizens and companies can do in space. The space race between the USA and the Soviet Union was in full swing. This led to the creation of the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, the foundational document of international space law. The treaty established some fundamental principles. Space is free for all nations to explore. No country can claim sovereignty over celestial bodies like the moon, and nations are responsible for the activities of their citizens and companies in space. This is where the Outer Space Act 1986 comes in. It's the UK's way of implementing its obligations under the Outer Space Treaty. Essentially, it's a licensing system. The Act states that any UK national or UK-registered company wanting to carry out activities in outer space must first obtain a license from the government. The UK Space Agency is the body responsible for issuing these licenses. The application process is incredibly thorough. They want to know everything about your mission. What's the purpose of your satellite? What orbit will it be in? How will you track it? And most importantly, what's your plan for the end of its life? You can't just leave your space junk floating around forever. Second, safety. Space is already getting crowded. The licensing process helps prevent collisions and minimizes the creation of more space debris, which is a huge and growing problem. Remember how the UK government is responsible for its national space activities. By licensing and regulating these activities, the government minimizes its own risk. Applicants usually have to get a significant amount of insurance, often to the tune of many millions of pounds, to cover any potential damages they might cause. This protects the UK taxpayer from footing a massive bill if a private UK satellite goes rogue. It also applies to any company registered in the UK. This has become incredibly relevant in recent years. With the boom of the new space industry, companies like OneWeb, which is building a massive constellation of internet satellites, are headquartered in the UK and operate under licenses granted through this Act. The Act was also updated by the Space Industry Act 2018, which streamlined the process for launches from UK soil, paving the way for the UK's first spaceports, like the one in Cornwall or in Scotland. There is a constant debate about finding the right balance. How do you encourage innovation and commercial growth while also ensuring safety, security, and compliance with international law? It's a tightrope walk. Other countries have different approaches. The United States, for example, has a more complex system with different agencies like the FAA, FCC, and NOAO, involved in licensing different aspects of a space mission. Each country is trying to figure out the best way to manage this new frontier. We're talking about asteroid mining, lunar bases, and maybe even tourism on Mars. If you build a habitat on the Moon, what laws apply inside it? The Outer Space Treaty says you can't claim sovereignty, but it's less clear on exploiting resources. The UK's Act, and the international laws it's built on, will need to adapt to address these incredible new possibilities. The legal frameworks we create today will shape the future of humanity in space for generations to come. It's not just about rules and regulations. It's about establishing the principles for a peaceful and sustainable expansion into the cosmos. So, the next time you look up at the night sky and see a satellite streaking across, remember that there's a complex web of law and regulation, like the UK's Outer Space Act, that made its journey possible. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the legal side of space exploration interesting, don't forget to hit that like button. Let me know in the comments what other space topics you'd like to see covered. See you next time.